Hello, and thanks for joining us on Universal Heritage Television Nigeria. My name is Afam Echi. I'm here once again to bring you another edition of our breakfast show, Daybreak Nigeria. And today we are going to talk about Igbo marginalization. Some people believe that the Igbos are still marginalized. And to do justice to that topic is Martins Ori. Martins Ori is a senior journalist in the state, a seasoned journalist at that. He is the publisher and the chief and editor-in-chief of the New Oriental newspaper. Martin, you are welcome to our program.
Thank you very much, Afam.
Please remember to like our Facebook page. And if you are coming in contact with us for the first time, try and subscribe to our YouTube platform. Martin, let me get straight to you on this issue. Some people believe that there are still cries of marginalization of Igbo, even under the present Tinubu administration. Some people talk about the coastal rail line, which excluded the Igbo, except maybe like at Aba as a town, you know. Do you think Igbo is still being marginalized?
Afam, the thing is southeast because we now have 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria. Okay. If you talk about Igbo, there are Igbo in Delta, there are Igbo in rivers. There are Igbo, scattered all over the federation. But we are talking about the 5 southeast states that are Igbo, and that is what we are talking about. Yeah, the Tinubu administration, let's start this way, gave us a security chief. Okay. And that is that. Since that, we have seen series of appointments being made in the agencies, all across boards. We don't see the Southeasterners being represented. Just in the last 2 days, there is a $750 million empowerment project being discussed. I bet you when that money is broken down, go and look at it. If the Southeast is not totally rejected, the Southeast is going to be the least to be represented in that whole amount. Then you talk about, you mentioned the coastal rail lines. I think is a 17 trillion.
11 billion.
Yeah?
$11 billion project.
$11 billion project, 17 trillion in naira is laughable, and we begin to ask, where are Southeast states? Where are Igbo leaders? Where are the governors? Where are our representatives in the House of Assembly? No person is talking, and so also it has continued. Afam, it may interest you to know that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is an offshoot of the former President Muhammadu Buhari, and that was when the Southeast people got it so worst. And the biggest project of Muhammadu Buhari in his 8 years was also the railway lines that came about from billions of dollars being borrowed from China. And I tell you, none of the rail lines crisscrossed any of the Southeast states, and that is it. Buhari had 16 security chiefs. None was Igbo. Buhari built 6 new federal universities. None was in Igbo land. Go and look at it. So the marginalization of the Southeast, for any person who doubts, still continues. More than 50 years, in actual fact, in 54 years after the Civil War. And it does not show that Nigeria means well for the Southeast, for Igbo, okay. So to say.
Okay, you mentioned, you dwelt strongly on Buhari's PMB's administration marginalizing Igbo,
which has continued to date. Okay,
so are you saying Tinubu, are you implying that Tinubu is sustaining that marginalization agenda?
Yeah, you see, as a child, you can flog a child and still give him, tonto
Okay.
The child does not know whether to cry because of the pains of the care or whether to laugh because of the sweetness of the tom-tom you give to him. So that is what is being done to the Southeast now. Yes, constitutionally, we have the ministers. Umahi, for the first time in recent times, an Igbo man, in fact, for the first time, an Igbo man is the Minister of Works. I don't think that it has ever happened before. You give credit to Tinubu.
Okay.
For the first time, an Igbo man is, for the first time in almost 9 years, an Igbo man, a Southeasterner, is a security chief, the man from Enugu. Yes. You give it to Tinubu. But what I'm telling you, go and look at it. After that, all the appointments being made in the agencies, hundreds of them, how many have been allocated to the Southeast? Number one. The biggest cry now in the Southeast is for Tinubu to release Nnamdi Kanu, who is an Igbo man from Abia State. And every day the man goes to court. In fact, new charges are being is being brought against him, which means there is no end in sight to his being released. Okay, we are saying that we have an international airport being so named by Jonathan in 2013. Today, the airport at Enugu, named after no, not Nanda Azikiwe, Akanibian.
Okay.
We are asking, why is it that that place cannot fully be upgraded as international airport, so that Igbo people cannot be going to Abuja, going to Lagos. Enugu is just here. It's few hours away. These are the things we are talking about. As long as we are consigned, the Igbo marginalization started by Gowon in 1966 still continues till now.
I will come to that. Martin, you see, I don't know how you want to reconcile, how will you reconcile the charge of marginalization in terms of appointment, relating it to what the Northerners are also complaining against Tinubu. The Northerners complain against Tinubu that is not doing well in terms of appointment, and even the appointments of those made in the North. He's Christianizing it. He's appointing, the Muslims are complaining against Tinubu or not appointing Muslim leaders. So what I'm saying in effect is, it is like Tinubu may not be marginalizing Igbo alone.
Yeah, if you look at the names based on geopolitical representation, the Southwest has had it more than enough. But the complaints from the North can be taken for granted. I say can be taken for granted because what they are saying is that they have not got enough. But in the case of the Southeast, we are saying that we have not even got anything at all. So when you have 3 kids, in this instance, East, West, and North, the West is okay. The North is saying we have not had enough, and you have the East that is saying that we don't have anything at all. Who do you compensate? You compensate the child who is saying that I don't have any, and when you look at his palms, he doesn't have any. So the difference is clear.
Now, why do you think? Because if somebody is pressed, if somebody is suffering some inconvenience, disturbance, like in this case, marginalization, why we have Igbo leaders, people who should speak for us? Why do you think they are not talking?
The fact is that most Igbo leaders have been talking. The former governor of Anambra State, Okwadike, just died. Okay. Before he died, he was shouting. Every person had his voice. We had Ben Inwabueze, who is also late. Before he died, he was shouting everywhere. In fact, starting from 1999, Odis Okalo led the shouting. He later changed gear and joined those he shouted against. So, if you talk about leaders, you have to be very specific about the leaders you're talking about. The governors have constraints.
What is the constraint?
The constraint is not laughable. Yeah. The constraint is most of them came to power with a power of negotiation.
Okay.
This is what I will do. This is not what I will not do. And a part of the thing they cannot do is to talk about Igbo marginalization. To them, it is an anathema for them to mention Igbo marginalization. They'll be telling you that everything is okay, that Tinubu is trying, he's doing his best, let us give him time. That was what they told us when Buhari was there, that he had just started, let us give him time. We gave Buhari time, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Somebody like Dr. Obunoyan, who just died, was very shocked that Buhari could not look towards his direction for the 2023 presidential ticket of the APC. You saw him shouting, where was the justice? Where was the justice? I can tell you that maybe the man died out of shock of what happened to him. So whatever we got under President Muhammadu Buhari is what we have started getting under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, perhaps not in equal proportion. He had just reduced 10%. When they are suffering from the combination of high blood pressure, diabetes, and stroke, and BP is removed, they are still sick. That's what we are complaining about.
Okay. At what point do you think did Igbo begin to feel marginalized?
Afam, thank you very much for that question. It will interest you and our viewers, our audience, to know that it was an Igbo man named Dr. Nnamdi Benjamin Azikiwe, popularly known as Zik, that led Nigeria to independence. It is not very doubtful. This is very, very clear. At independence, Nigeria was led by Igbo, not by any mistake. Okay. It was when merit was being focused on. If you are good, you take it. By 1966, something horrendous happened. There was the January coup of 15 January 1966, and Igbo led that coup, comprising other Nigerians. The coup was not fully successful. Ironsi was called upon to take over the mantle of leadership. The entire country applauded the coup of January 15, 1966. Midway, it was being given the name of Igbo coup. The name Igbo coup was manufactured, and it was all lies. From there, all manner of attacks were targeted against Ironsi. Within 6 months, Ironsi was assassinated on July 29, 1966. On that day, he was killed. 162 Igbo army officers died with him, including one that was very, very, very awful, Major Donatus Onokafo, who was buried alive. Others died. Gowon came into being. When Gowon took over, Igbo marginalization started. The Supreme Military Council of Gowon had no Igbo representative. The Supreme Military Council of Gowon had no Igbo name at all, and that was how Igbo demarcation started. And after the coup that killed Ironsi, Ojukwu said, militarily, Gowon are not my superior. In the case of the January coup in 1966, Ironsi was the most superior army officer. So for that, Gowon, you are the knight in command. You cannot be the head of state. First, there was Ogundikwe. Second, there was Robert Adebayo. Third, there was Philip. Ojukwu mentioned 7 names, including Philip Effiong. Ojukwu mentioned 7 names that ought to have succeeded Ironsi, and Gowon refused. That was how Aburi came into being. At the end of the day, Gowon signed that let us have a confederal state. Coming back to Nigeria, it was not implemented. We went into war, and the war lasted for almost 3 months. Since then, the Igbo marginalization has continued. By 1976, February 13, states were created. 19 states, and only 2 of Anambra and Imo were dashed to Igbo nation. When by then the Southwest, the place now we call Southwest, got Lagos, got Ogun, got Ondo,
the local states,
got yes, four, and a huge representation in Kwara, and then the eastern minorities now had rivers and cross river to be equal with the Igbo of Southeast, Anambra and Imo. Then when Babangida and Abacha came up with their states, the South now had 6.
Yeah.
The Southeast has 5, and it has continued up to date. 774 local governments in Nigeria, only 95 are in the Southeast. When if you plus Kano that has 44 and Oyo that has 38, it is 2 states in Nigeria of the north and the south are almost equaling the total number of local governments in Nigeria. And everything we have in Nigeria, everything we share in Nigeria is being denominated by the number of local governments you have. Be it the federation, from the federation account, whatever, election, everything is being denominated through the local government. So in this way, the Igbo marginalization has taken a scientific an approach that appears to be non-stop, and it is very, very dangerous.
Okay, recently the Igbos too suffered some attack, in the 2023 election, and much more recently too, we have seen destruction of Igbo structures belonging to Igbo in Lagos. Now, would you see that too as part of Igbo marginalization?
It's a part of it, irrespective of the fact that it didn't just start. It started far back in 1951 during the NEPU crisis. That apart, during the pogrom, what Ojukwu called the pogrom that happened between April 1966 till he now said this is Biafra. Igbo have always suffered attacks, especially in the north. What surprises every person is it is now happening in the southwest. I will tell you that the Yoruba have always accommodated Ndibo. No matter what Ndibo have done to the Yoruba, they have never attacked us in Lagos. The first of it happened during the last election, and every person was surprised. What we used to suffer, or what we have been suffering in Lagos, is the demolition of Igbo properties, especially markets and houses. But for physical attack, we had it, we saw it for the first time in horrendous proportion in the last election. And the blame must have to go to the Oba of Lagos, who in 2015 warned that if Jonathan should be re-elected, that Igbos should be dipped into the sea. And I think that was what followed 4 years after that. Some notorious gangs in Lagos now started attacking the Igbos, and up to now it has continued.
But Jonathan is not an Igbo man.
Well, what happened was Jonathan came and discovered that Igbo, the southeast, was suffering, or is a continuous thing, because by now it has not been solved, is suffering from marginalization. He started redressing that illegal actions. First, for the first time in 45 years, Jonathan named an Igbo man, Azubike Ihejirika, as the GOC, the chief of army,
Minister.
And people applauded him. He now came up and named Enugu Airport International. He went further to give Ojukwu a state burial. There are so many things Jonathan wanted to redress that he knew that were very wrong in Nigeria, and it was a part of the reason why he lost re-election, because they tagged him an Igbo man. As long as so many Nigerians are concerned in the political elite class, Jonathan had taken the position of the Igbo man for the presidency of Nigeria. You can see the hatred and the marginalization we are talking about.
Okay. Now, what do you think in your own mind? You are speaking so passionately about the challenges the Igbo man is grappling with. What do you think can be done to redress this imbalance?
It's a very simple thing. What are the imbalances? One, the Southeast deserves a new state to make it 666, even though the Northwest has 7. We don't bother. All fingers are not equal, but it must have to be equal for things to move. One, in the second I mentioned was the imbalance in the local government structure. Okay. By the time you give the Igbo, the Southeast, an additional state, it will take care of the imbalance in the local government structure. You go to the National Assembly, out of the 360 members of House of Reps, how many are Igbo? So if you also go to create another state, you have employed more House of Reps members, at least 10, to go and fill the gap. So also is in the Senate. Number 2, or another point is the federal presence in the Southeast is almost zero. Just recently, the Enugu Aba Port Harcourt Express Road and the Onitsha Enugu Express Road have been taken care of. But these are not the only 2 federal roads in the Southeast. Most others have totally collapsed. The Onitsha Owerri Road is very, very bad. The Owerri Aba Road is very, very bad. So we can start, from here. And, in Nigeria in particular, the way we view appointment, if AFAM is being given a federal job, you go to Abuja, you bring resources, and you come to Imo State, and you are from Mbitelu, you go to Ogwa, your people will know that their own, one of their own is in Abuja. You feel the impulse, they feel the impact. So by the time you deny Southeast these appointments in the agencies, you are making us poorer, and it's not good. Okay, Martin, so far so good. This is the much I can take from this program, and thank you for coming to our program. Before then, I will want you to, what is your final word for Igbo over this issue? Igbo, as we say, so we are talking to our investors, those who have employment capacities to come to East and invest. Akurulo, that is what we are saying. Bring your universities, bring your investments, bring your business down here. We are not saying that you are going to close the one you have elsewhere, but if you are an Owerri man and you have investments in Lagos, bring one to Owerri. If you are an Mbise person, you have investments in Abuja, bring one to Mbise. So by the time there was a time around 2016, 2017, when Arewa Youth issued a quick notice to Ndingwe, it was estimated that Igbo businesses, Igbo investments in the North was 45 trillion naira. By now it is up to 60. So why can't we bring half of this to Eastern Nigeria for empowerment, for employment, to secure security, and to make sure that our youth get employment?
Okay, thank you so much. Viewers, this is where we wrap it up. And you have been hearing Martin about Igbo marginalization, insisting that Tinubu has continued the agenda. And he also got us to know why Jonathan is tagged an Igbo man, because he tries to redress some of the injustices the Igbo man has suffered. And the final word for Igbo: try and bring your businesses home so that Aku will get home. Your wealth will get home. Akurolo. That is an Igbo philosophy. On this note, we round off the program and say please continue to stick with Universal Heritage Television Nigeria. My name again is Afam Echi. Thank you for being part of the program.